What's the worst mindset you can have in modern society? And more importantly, if each mindset was an RPG class, what would they be? Welcome to the Tankard, the channel that asks the most important questions that other YouTubers are just too afraid to ask. In this filler episode, I mean important piece of cinema, I'll explore the 8 mindsets I totally didn't spoil in the thumbnail so you can all decide what's the worst, find someone who fits that description, and cast vicious mockery on them. So without further ado, let's enter the void.
But lately, I'm getting the feeling that I came in at the end. The best is over.
Doomers like Tony Soprano believe everything is downhill from here. It doesn't matter how much good or bad they do in their life, history will look back and see this era as a colossal failure. We're an empire on its last legs, being held together by a despot using distractions and conflict, while everyone else is desperate to cling on to what values they still have left. And it's only in the fall that we realize that we've been the baddies the whole time.
Are we the baddies?
So what's the point of saving it? American values of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness have been replaced with American exceptionalism and moral relativism. Doomers see the downward spiral around them, but instead of creating positive things in the world to push back against the stupid, they accept their role as Sisyphus and keep pushing the boulder up the hill. But unlike Camus' work, where we should imagine Sisyphus as happy, Doomers do it because it's all their default state can stomach. Things are too overwhelming, the anxiety is too much, and I don't want to be another failure like the ones I see around me. This fear of movement leads to stagnation, and allows those who do not have our best interests to keep pushing unimpeded. Doomers deny the role one person can play in changing the lives of others, and let their actions become a self-fulfilling prophecy that perfectly aligns with their worldview. Doomers will almost exclusively play the role of a mage who is devoted to the void and ancient eldritch forces. The more they learn, the more they realize how powerless they are to stop the forces at work. They embrace nihilism not just because the world lacks meaning, but because something in the end will destroy us all. They find liberation through accepting the void, and sit with prying eyes, ready to extinguish any positivity in social interactions. Doomers fight best when they are hidden and away from their party, allowing them to cast spells with incredibly long incantations. They should be careful to avoid doom scrolling, posting dark humor memes to cope with their depression, and going into battle with the lack of sleep, or they may get one-shot by enemies with any semblance of self-confidence. If I extracted all of the narcissism from Gaston, Gilderoy Lockhart, Lord Farquaad, and Homelander, and asked a 7-year-old iPad kid to drink it, they'd still be less of a piece of shit than Logan Paul. People with main character syndrome think their shit doesn't stink, it's fucking bedazzled. The real world is just a prop for their content. Looking at the road prevents me from interacting with my adoring fans. Philanthropy efforts will make people forget that I changed the ingredients of my chocolate bar to make it more addicting. Launching a meme coin and getting called a scammer won't stop me from doing it again. Better yet, let's record in a notorious forest in Japan. What could possibly go wrong? These people model their personalities after Dolores Umbridge. Their content has more filler than Jeff Bezos' wife, and they use the same oversaturated cursed smile thumbnail that unlocks a sleeper cell in every kid under the age of 10. They call themselves influencers and media personalities because it's more than just an art, it's a movement. Seriously, whose personality are you influencing when the only thing that's moving is your fucking ass? All of this fakery distorts their personality like Dorian Gray's picture. They subject themselves to more torment than Alex Mason to maintain their perfect image and boost their value in the algorithm. Normal people are beneath them. A mansion in the hills, luxury cars, more umbrellas, a $75,000 Met Gala ticket. Just look at how they're giving back to the community. Money buys happiness, after all. Besides, it's the poor's fault they aren't like me. They lack the talent and will to do what's necessary to take what's theirs. But we should still eat the rich because they're a big problem.
Aren't you the rich?
People with main character syndrome have convinced the world that 2-second jump cuts and using the word every in every YouTube video title has contributed more value to the world than the Islamic Golden Age. It's hard to say what class someone with main character syndrome would play, since everything they do is a stale, controlled experience to maximize ad revenue. Chances are, they'll spend 5+ hours on the character creation screen to create the perfect character, only for someone on their team to explain that this game is no longer profitable and has no place in their current upload schedule. That, or they'll find the nearest multiplayer game, invest $5,000 into it, and make a video titled, "I opened 1,000 loot boxes to promote gambling to children." However, those with the most fragile of egos may elect to multitask, allowing others to play on their official account while attending the president's inauguration. This strategy can be risky if the player does not have enough points into the gaslighting skill tree, resulting in a loss of favor with the cult of absolute, and of course, putting them on the path of exile. Despite lacking the mental energy to change their lives, these people use excess mental effort to prove to themselves that they can never be happy. Things are rigged. I was born in the wrong body to be successful. I will never have as much as these people, so I have to take what I can get. Betterment and self-improvement are as foreign of a concept to these people as geography is to an American.
Venezuela.
They'd rather sit and whine on Reddit than touch grass. Oftentimes, these people who position themselves as caring and wanting to fight for justice are some of the most selfish people you'll ever meet. Every internal problem is projected outward and expected to be solved by someone else. Learn helplessness is the name of the game. They can't celebrate their victories because once one thing goes wrong, it's time to blame the world. Everything is a zero-sum game to them. For someone to make money, someone's being oppressed. For someone to better themselves, they're perpetuating a toxic culture to someone else. For someone to dare go against the grain and think for themselves, they risk coming to extreme, unapproved solutions. In the mind of the Blade of Woe is Me, you will never be good enough to help them, and they will never be responsible for helping themselves. These brainlets will either play as vampires or necromancers. With the vampire playstyle, these people's negativity will never die, and they will never be able to see the sun because they are too busy raging against the machine in their mom's basement or in a mansion they bought with their rich daddy's money. They may also spec into the seductive toreador type of vampire where they come off as suave and sexy at first, but once you put a ring on them, they revert back to their 5-year-old self with all the tantrums you could possibly imagine. More importantly, they will leverage their high levels of regeneration to keep coming back after saying they can't go on 10,000 times a year. With the Necromancer playstyle, these people will revive brain-dead and debunked takes, as well as the trauma of their ancestors, to justify why they can't make it in today's economy. The stench of rotting corpses will also push any rational person away from them, resulting in a social group of conveniently propped up dead, straw men who do not exist, and of course, other necromancers. The necromancer's biggest strength is that even if you try to understand them, you'll end up as dead inside as they are.
Through hard work, anything is possible. And by anything, I mean staying at my company of buff men who tell other men to look at my pecs and be more like me. Reject school, reject corporate America, reject the advice of the original sinners, women, and join my cult of buff men. Only then will women find you attractive.
These people look at South Korea's toxic work culture and see it as a challenge to overcome. They believe hustling and positive affirmation are legitimate skills that can make you more than a doctor. To be fair, that's true if you start the grift, but once you hear it, and trust me, we'll never stop hearing it, we'd make more being an actual hustle slave at McDonald's than joining the cult of Taticus or Vaynerchukules. They could teach you to pivot or find a direction where you can actually apply any hard work, but they're too busy praying in the direction of the nearest Romanian high school.
I sell products that help people grow and achieve their goals,
They echo into the night. What do they sell? Booze, CBD, shit protein powder, and infinite access to themselves, which we all know is a fucking discord. Even they know that you can't hustle your way through everything.
You need high-income skills to make money. But you can't offer that for free or else people won't value it, which is why the most valuable skills have to cost thousands of dollars, because I need to make sure that you're serious.
Sounds an awfully lot like college, but don't go there.
It's a scam.
If I want to recreate this entire experience, I could just spend $20, buy Persona 4 Golden, and play through Shadow Kanji Sana again. I'd get all the repressed sexual frustration and achievement for beating something hard. The difference is, I wouldn't come back for another pounding. Sigma male grindsetters fall into the most alpha of hierarchies. Those at the bottom are all orc barbarians that train every muscle in their body except their brain, while the grifters at the top are high charisma warlocks who sold their soul to one of these two patrons, Master Yield or Venture Exodus. Master Yield was a powerful monk who enjoyed watching the world around him. He teaches detachment, mental fortitude, and the willingness to give up control. Warlocks who choose Master Yield as their patron surrender their worldly desires of a normal relationship and are bestowed with the throne of surrender, and live satisfied knowing that those close to them can enjoy the things that matter to them without judgment. The throne of surrender gains in power depending on how many people enter the castle, and when supercharged, Master Yield may force the warlock to express his love for the throne over livestream, or worse yet, start a podcast in dedication to this patron. Through this act, the warlock rallies his army of orc barbarians and conveniently redefines what an alpha truly is. Venture Exodus, on the other hand, was a traveler who grew frustrated with his homeland's rejection of traditional values. Wanting to make it right, and to find his companion that he can spend his life with, Venture Exodus traveled to Thailand, Cambodia, and the Philippines to find his soulmate and take them back to his homeland. Warlocks who choose Venture Exodus as their patron will be forced to go on the same journey and will have a constant urge to never shut the fuck up about how standards are too high at home. They mastered the art of dodging responsibility, as well as the law. They may also feel a strong propensity to teach young women their traditional values, but this strategy is risky since they use the average age of their audience as a baseline for consent. Warlocks of this patron rally their audience of Slanesh worshippers to channel their animal instincts and act in the same degenerate ways they claim all women behave like in their homeland, because of course, it's different when men do it. Twitch Zealots are hard to distinguish from your reality TV binger, since they both love to look at morons from a distance and say, hey, at least I'm not this stupid, to feel better about themselves.
I don't understand anything he's saying right now.
The difference is, when a fight happens on a reality show, bingers can laugh at the incident and point out that these people are just doing it for clout. But when a Twitch Zealot sees a fight at a random Waffle House, it's a political statement that expresses everything wrong with the culture. Twitch Zealots will work to be indistinguishable from their messiah's takes and will move heaven and earth to justify everything they do. Whether it's becoming a plague bearer of Nurgle or buying a $3 million mansion in Gucci bags, Twitch Zealots will see these questionable choices as true authenticity. Like many quasi-religious people who say, God wanted this to happen to me, to justify their own stupid decisions, Twitch Zealots are unable to accept that their God may be lulling them into a fatalistic worldview where the only way to save the world is to donate to them.
$5 a month!
People who meet Twitch Zealots in real life cast them out like lepers because of their utter delusion and their constant AoE psychic damage, as well as blunt force trauma to the nearest nasal cavity. Twitch Zealots cope with their inability to think critically by turning the blade on each other to gain their messiah's favor, or they'll pursue a holy war against another messiah's zealots to make faraway global conflicts all about them. Twitch Zealots will play exclusively as the Holy Paladin, not only to justify their own zealotry, but because their mental illness debuffs have convinced them that they're the only righteous people left. Paladins are a great early game class, not only because of their crowd control and elemental slop resistance, but because they are unable to leave the early areas of the game. Paladins are unable to fight anything that challenges them in any way without reverting to their messiah's talking points, which is why they'll spend all of their time fighting armies of short-stack goblins and the roaches under Asmongold's bed. In a cyberpunk version of the Mushroom Kingdom, the tragedy and aftermath of Waluigi is something that is not forgotten in the collective consciousness. Waluigi grew up in a good home, got a good education, and found stable employment before things went south. After surfing in Isle Delfino, Waluigi started to develop major issues in his back and spine, most likely from his peak, ideal male body type. Unable to live with the pain of being so desirable, Waluigi went to Dr. Mario for help. Dr. Mario performed a successful operation, and Waluigi was ready to go on his way, happy that Mushroom Kingdom insurance would cover his cost of 1-ups and super mushrooms. Unfortunately, The Mushroom Kingdom Insurance Agency was headed by the CEO of WarioWare, Wario, known for hoarding all of the gold coins and developing a culture of denying coverage to even the most perfect of specimens. And from here, I guess you could figure out where the story ends. Waluigi's legacy has grown into a cult of personality that rightfully deserves to be on this list. Historically, anger is a necessary motivator for political change, which is why governments push the concept of a peaceful changemaker like MLK or Frederick Douglass over those of Malcolm X and David Walker. But Waluigi stands follow the path of violence blindly, unaware that the result can be much worse than anticipated. But these are extreme examples, you'll say. Fine. Occupy Wall Street, Tea Party movement, no kings. All these movements burn like a hot flame that quickly extinguishes because it lacks political fuel. It's a rigged game, no doubt about it, but what solutions did these movements even achieve? I'm not saying people shouldn't get angry. I'm saying that if that's all you have, your movement will fail as soon as there's something else to get angry about. Waluigi stands, the first people to embrace anarchy and see the Dark Knight's Joker as a tragic character, should never be in charge of anything. Why? Well, as the God Emperor of Dune said in the 4th book of the same name, they're closet aristocrats, see the world in black and white, and ironically enough, perpetuate the same system they dedicated their lives to destroying. Figures like Waluigi will play almost exclusively as gunslingers, using modified or low-tier weapons and hoping for the best. They may also multi-class into Gloomstalkers, allowing them to ambush their target outside of their place of business, or after their target's driver makes a wrong turn. Multi-classing into a Gloomstalker enables them to cast Hunter's Mark on their target, increasing potential damage output. However, not all Waluigis are created equal. The skill of each gunslinger can vary greatly, resulting in many of them being accused as agents of the Thalmor when they can't hit the side of a barn. If successful, they should be careful not to place their manifestos in the first location city guards will check, or write one so well that their own family will decipher their handiwork. The most successful variants ditch the gunslinger class entirely and spec heavily into charisma, to rally the masses and create a new nation with new ideas that totally won't fall apart from the same power games and ineffectiveness as the system before. Stands of Waluigi, on the other hand, will prioritize fire over all other forms of destruction magic. Like the Joker said, everything burns, which is why they cast Fireball at local shops and throw flasks of alchemist fire in the streets to promote social progress. Also known as conspiracy theorists, these people will read anything before a non-fiction book with scientific backing. Any consensus or book that debunks their dubious claims is a conspiracy from the technocrat left who have indoctrinated the schools with their propaganda. Everything is hidden, fake, and a global conspiracy, and the only reason the rest of the world doesn't know this is because they've all been brainwashed. You have to escape the Matrix, read the things I read, and question everything, except the things I tell you, to truly understand the world around you. They'll show up with plenty of proof, too. So even when you call out my video for being junk and most likely showing no context, I'll just respond with the old, well, I wouldn't put it past them. Conspiracy theories are like that day trader friend you had in high school. They'll never shut up about their wins and tell you the best way to make money is to buy the same crypto they do while simultaneously hiding all of their losses and payments to the IRS. You may even counter the smart one too, who actually reads scientific papers. Too bad the papers they cite are as accurate as a stormtrooper. And the best part is, when called out, they'll tell you not to trust their medical advice because they aren't an expert, which is a really bold take for someone who's inherently distrustful of experts. You can't trust corporations, the media, or the government, but some random dude named Q on 4chan? Fuck yeah! Conspiracy theorists will play exclusively as druids, and can opt into one of many subclasses to suit their needs. Those who pick the Circle of the Moon do so for their ability to shapeshift to different unfalsifiable positions when threatened with basic facts and logic. Their higher health pool also gives them a higher likelihood to survive the apocalypse or planned lizardman takeover. Conspiracy theorists who choose the Circle of the Land are most in touch with nature. They spend their time finding balance and harmony and are deeply concerned with the chemicals in the water, the genetic modification of animals, and of course, the poison fumes in the sky. These druids are usually bold and brash and will not back down when challenged in public. Lastly, druids of the college sorority variety may fall into the Circle of Stars, allowing them to use their birthdays to justify their own poor choices, or compatibility charts to determine if their friend's relationship will work out. The Circle of Stars' power is directly proportional to the druid's number of followers on Instagram and socials in their link tree.
Don't ask questions. Just consume product and then get excited for next product.
New Stanleys, Labubus, video games, Beyblades, everyone's got a fix. We even make communities to express our love of consumption. Foodie, cottagecore, Swifties, Thrifties, Weeaboos. Is it just me, or is there a reason why all these sound cutesy?
Hey yo, Oni-chan, pull up, n***a.
Anyways, consumers don't understand the basic principle that we vote with our wallets. And if there's a massive population of people who will buy shit without thinking, the rest of us suffer. Video games we already paid for are now filled to the brim with loot boxes and microtransactions because enough people want to pay for different colored JPEGs. But it's corporate greed, and look at these tariffs ruining the economy. I didn't pay $80 for Mario Kart or $700 for a PS5 Pro, but you and your favorite content creators certainly did. Whenever we complain about a lack of new products, variety, and an excessive number of sequels that get the IGN seal of approval, consumers are the ones to blame. We all know how corporately captured our government is, and that many unfair business practices are ruining key industries. But these morons will keep complaining about the cost of their hobby in one hand and buy it on sale in the other. Their stupidity simplifies the discourse, making the uninformed think that we can just opt out and find cheaper alternatives to everything we buy. The biggest issue with consumers is their tendency to develop a cult around their favorite products and brands. Criticizing Nintendo makes you a pariah. Calling a K-pop song Western slop is sacrilege. Pointing out that the company you once knew and loved no longer exists is heresy. Customers are the primary line of attack to change companies for the better, but consumers will come to their defense faster than a police raid at a Minecraft YouTuber's house. They will glaze their favorite product line to no end, actively defend the company's shit business practices, and fall for every marketing gimmick known to man. They find meaning through product, purpose through servitude, and emotional connection through VTuber. Consumers are the ultimate mouthpiece, because if you can monetize it, you can control them like a boomer watching Fox News. Consumers will play any class that is at the top of a tier list and gives the biggest numbers for the biggest dopamine hits. In all likelihood, they'll play as a basic fighter or stealth archer to maximize critical hits and to compensate for their gaming journalist level of skill. These classes also fit into the standard archetypes that they'd expect from everything they consume. They don't have time to make a custom class or even know how to have fun. Everything needs to be simple and user-friendly so they can consume product and move on to the next product. Every single one of these mentalities are pitfalls that some people spend way too much time in, or can never get out of. Trying to decide which one is the worst is like deciding if I'd rather jump into a cage with hungry lions, or a pool with piranhas, but that's just me. If you think some of these are strengths and I'm just plain wrong, let me know. If you want to share which is the worst and why, please do. And with that, the Think Tankard is closed for the evening. I will talk to you again soon.